Hello, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 6th of April 2026. It's Gary here again. Thank you very much, as always, for taking the time to join me this week. And firstly, I'd like to start by wishing everyone a happy Easter, as we are recording here on Easter Monday. And I know that different organisations have different types and styles of approaches to Easter, and whether you got some time off and whether you managed to catch the Rangers game. I'm hoping that you got both for this week. So it's been a bit of a time of it, hasn't it, since we came back from the international break? And I think I'm not alone in being the guy that's got the, what would you say, the battle scars from any time we come back from any sort of break. It used to be the winter break when we had those a few years back, and then any international break, there's always that, what do you call it, reservation, that you're in a situation where you just don't know what version of the team you're going to get back, especially when we had so many first-team players, genuine first-team players that are away on international duty. And it's just one of these things that we need new memories, we need new history to be able to bring us back to a spot where we don't fear coming back after an international break. But I think it's probably a wee bit understandable with the way that the league championship has gone and is going and is likely to go over the next wee while with it. But there was a wee bit more apprehension about what sort of reintroduction we would have to league business, and thankfully it worked out well in our favour. And as I say, we've had worse weekends. The gap at the top of the table now, 3 points separating three teams. Before the international break, we were laughing to that mob getting beat by Dundee United, and then they win a game, we win a game, Hearts draw a game, and then all of a sudden they're back within 3 points. So it's really genuinely all to play for. It's quite exciting. It's quite refreshing. For me, it's one of these things where I don't recall ever. Well, back in the day when Aberdeen were doing really well, way back in the 90s, you would always be in social media and the internet and such wasn't really a thing then. It wasn't a thing at all then, actually. And so, but you were always hearing on the radio and stuff, and you were always checking out the Aberdeen score because they were our greatest challengers, but also that mob score just for fun, just to laugh at them because they weren't doing well at that point. And it's back to that, but with a wee bit of a twist, obviously, with us looking to try and make sure that Hearts are not winning all their games, and that we are keeping that other mob at bay as well, which we kind of managed to do a wee bit on the weekend. I think the results went sort of our way. And here's the weird thing for me. I know I've talked about this before, so if you listen fairly regularly, we've had 12 draws this season. We've only been beat twice in the league this season. I mean, that's incredible. What are we at now? What is it, 6 games to go? So 32 games in, we've lost 2 of those games. Hearts have lost 5 games. That mob have lost 8 games, an incredible 8 games. Thank you again, Wilfred Nancy, for all of your service for Glasgow Rangers this season. And if you take, I was actually saying this at the club on the weekend, if you take even just half of those draws, now I've been on record to say that we've deserved every single result that we've gotten this season, and some of that's said out of a wee bit of frustration, because if we draw 1-1 away at Motherwell twice, which we did do, and with 2 very late goals as in the equaliser goals coming in, then that's what we deserve. We didn't take enough chances. We didn't defend enough, or didn't defend well enough at the end, and such. So it was one of these things. But if you took, say, half of those draws and turned them into victories, that's an extra. What's that? An extra 12 points for us. And all we're doing now is counting down. It's probably going to be the second or third game into the split before we officially win the league. But no, we're right in this dogfight. Not happy to be here. Very, very happy to be here, because it's the season we thought was done, really, didn't we? In August, September time for sure. And it's just one of these things. So it's going to be one of the, I mean, obviously, I think with the benefit of hindsight, if we'd have had Danny Rule in at the beginning, we'd be in a totally different position. But we can't get to we don't know that for sure, I suppose. And we had to go through what we had to go through. And as I've said before, if we come back and we actually win this, 6 more wins, then it'll be the greatest comeback ever in the history. Because I think on the weekend they were saying there that it was actually we were 13 points behind when Danny Rule came in, and that is a lot of points to take to claw back there, and the season isn't done then. And here's the thing. So there's going to be a lot of twists and turns that are coming. When we were at the club on the weekend, not that many people were at the club on the weekend, Easter weekend, so maybe lots of people are out of town or just doing family stuff or whatever that looks like. But when we were at the club on the weekend, there was a lot of tension there. You know, I mean, the game was going great. 2-0, 2-1. Come on. What? 3-1. No problem. 3-2. What's happening? Then finally 4-2. I'll get to the game segment here in a wee second. But the tension, you can feel the tension. And I'm doing my very, very best, folks, to try and make sure that I don't have that tension, that I'm just watching the game, that I'm just enjoying the game and enjoying being where we're at, and knowing that my temper or my mood or my outbursts are from 4,000 miles away aren't going to help anyone or anything in the championship running. And especially when we don't know what's going to happen. Yes, if we win 6 games, we know that we're going to win the league. But with the amount of draws that we've had in the league, who knows what that looks like with the amount of defeats that the other teams in the championship race have had in the league. Who knows what that looks like as well. So I did a wee bit of a compilation here about the 12 games that we've drawn. So I'll give you a wee bit of an overview, just purely out of interest. And this is material to the last 6 games that we have to try and secure this 56th championship of ours. We've drawn 12 and 7 have been away from home and 5 have been at Ibrox. So it's not just an away from home problem. Yes, there's a wee bit of a slant to away from home, but it's not just quite as, if it was 12-0 away from home, then you know exactly what's happening there. So away, we've drawn twice against Motherwell, like I mentioned. We've drawn away to St Mirren. We've drawn away to Falkirk, material for this weekend. We've drawn away to Dundee United. We've drawn away to drawn away to Falkirk, Dundee United, Hibs and Livingston. Right, so Hibs is material for after the split as well. At home, we've drawn at home to Dundee. We've drawn at home to that mob twice. We've drawn at home to Falkirk and Dundee United. So Falkirk, we've drawn home and away. Dundee United, we've drawn home and away. Dundee United are not in the top 6 anymore. So we've got Hibs, so basically, if you take out that mob, we have drawn against every single one of the other top 6 teams or top 5 teams, excluding us. So twists and turns, folks, that are coming. Twists and turns. So we're going to see that there's definitely no gimmies that we're going to have. There's going to be nerves that come in, and I hope the fans don't exude that nervousness onto the field when things don't go our way. And I hope that we don't have a meltdown. We're prone to a meltdown as a fan base, that if things don't go our way, because we love the club, we want the club to succeed, and we're nervous that it's going to kind of fall apart, that if we have that one, by the way, it's not a guarantee, but if we have that one result that makes things feel a wee bit more bleak, that takes it back out of our hands or whatever that looks like, that we have the wherewithal to say there's still a lot of football to be played here. I made a prediction with Leo last week to say I think that Rangers are going to win the league on the second last game of the season, the midweek game. That's what I said, and I have no idea. There's zero, because we don't know the fixtures or anything, there's zero basis of fact or analysis or anything. It was just a thing where I was thinking, I should probably clear my calendar for that day, just in case. You never know, and probably the morning of the day after, just in case, because you just never know. So things are going to work out the way that they're going to work out, and I'm personally going to try not get super high when things are going fantastically well, and not get super low when they're not, just in case that's actually the journey that we are going to go on. Anyway, let's get to the game segment. I just wanted to share that because I had a wee bit of time yesterday just to do a wee bit more analysis than I typically get, and it's been kind of interesting reading. Nothing set in stone, nothing carved in stone, but we'll see if history is going to repeat itself or whether we can create a new history. And I hope we create a new history that's a positive one, that gives us the opportunity to actually do what we want to do and win this league. All right, so the only game we had, of course, was the 4-2 win at home against Dundee United on the weekend there. And we had a bit of, what would you say, intrigue from the press conference on Friday where Danny Rule says, yes, we have one of our players out, you're going to find out who it is tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, I'm sure every Rangers fan over the world is texting their pals, their friends, their family, whatever it is, to say, do you know who it is? Do you know who it is? And I had that debate as well. And my initial reaction was that, who was my initial reaction? That it was going to be, I think Jack Butland was my initial reaction. Was it? No, actually my initial reaction, was Mikey Moore. then it was Jack Butland, and then it was Yusuf Chermiti. Those were the three I had in my head, because he made it sound like there's going to be a material change to the team. And of course there was, and it was Stuart Romans who was out. And the good thing is that we have Jaden Magoma there in the back. Yeah, Jaden Magoma in the back. So we had that opportunity to have someone that was latterly playing well for us prior to Romans coming in as an able-bodied replacement, which was good. And in the very beginning of the game, chances at both ends. Rangers gave up a couple of chances, and then we had a chance where Scove Olsen almost got an assist for, I think it was Big Nadiri, wasn't it? Where he just put it past the post as well. Dundee United kind of whiffed a chance there a wee bit, but it wasn't the best quality game, was it? In the beginning, and then we had a couple of, do you know what it was like for me? Most of the game, we went back to the dark old days before our set piece coach came in. Like almost every single set piece we had, corner kicks and free kicks were, especially the corners, were just garbage. Like not getting past the first man. Or any time we did put it to the back post, when we should have done that on the earlier ones, there was nobody there. Like, so it was very, very odd. And ironically, that's where a couple of our goals came from, where we had a failed set piece that ended up coming in a second passage or maybe even third passage of play to get his goals there. We'll take the goals whatever way we get them, won't we? But yeah, with a great move from a corner, Moore picks it up out to Asgard, and I was shouting, twinkle toes, because Asgard's got, I've said this before, has got really, really good feet, and he can dribble it past a guy, and you've seen exactly that's what happens. So he gets a shot off, the goalie saves it, and Nadiri's just read it, instinctively just read it to pop it in there, and Twinkle Toes did what he can do. And Asgard, I really liked his post-match interview. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, you maybe should, where he said, you know, I'm always trying my best here, but when I didn't get included in the Norway squad there, I was disappointed and really need to up my game. Yes, playing for Rangers, you should up your game every single time, every single week, every single training session, Tello. But good to hear you acknowledging that and knowing that you've got a wee bit of time to do something about it. And I thought he played well on the weekend. I'm a bit of a fan of his. I do like him. And then you've got Asgard, well, you know, I guess, was it the best and worst of Asgard? Then he had an opportunity to slot home for 2-0 and just waited. It just waited a wee bit too long, unfortunately. When you see it on replay, he didn't have quite as much time as it looked like in the very, very first passage of play when you watched it live. But even then, you need to go and take and attack the ball. You need to assume that you don't have any more time and just go and do what you need to do to get that ball slotted home. We then lost a chronic goal, just an absolutely chronic goal where Moore overdid it. Chikwani, you know, and he fell, kind of some folks are shouting for a foul. Chikwani has an opportunity just to bring the guy down, you know, and probably not even in yellow card. Well, actually, I was going to say not in yellow card territory, but obviously that's not true because John Beaton was the referee, and I'll get to that in a wee second here. But, you know, the opportunity to break down the plate and then it doesn't even become a thing. And he gets it, but he doesn't. He just basically runs next to the guy having a jolly old time there, and he strolls through, and then John Suter did John Suter things, didn't he? You know, he just let the guy cut in, and I don't know. Do you know what I was thinking about with Suter is that I don't think, you know, when he came back, he looked like a lot leaner. When he came back from the previous injury that he had, he looked a lot leaner and maybe put on some muscle and stuff like that. And you're kind of thinking, right, okay, maybe this is a good thing for him. But he's just been a bit of a bomb scare, quite frankly. And I was saying to the guys on the weekend in the club, I don't know that he's actually got any worse. Truly, I don't. And I don't mean that insulting or anything. I mean, everyone has their levels. Everyone plays at a certain level. You know, some people can the levels are wildly different, but for the most part, they've got this consistency in terms of a mean of their levels. And I think John Suter has just stayed where he was. To be honest with you, I think now that we've got an appropriate benchmark there in Fernandez and Giga of late, you know, the last couple of months anyway, almost couple of months probably, where you're saying this is the standard that we need to be able to make sure that we don't lose an excessive amount of goals, that people really have to work hard for their goals, and then we don't give them that many opportunities. And then that starts to really bleed into the psyche of other teams as well, where they're thinking we really, really, really need to work hard to get these goals. It's not the same when John Suter is in the team, because he will let players come into the box. He will let players turn onto their favoured foot and things like that. And I think he's just stayed at the level Honestly, I think that's what it is. I don't think he's getting worse. I really don't. And maybe I'm proven wrong. There might be some stats and facts and figures out there in terms of, the ability to be able to say, well, actually, he is running less, he's passing less, his passing accuracy is less than it was or whatever. And if that's the case, then I'm more than willing to put my hands up. I just don't know that my gut tells me that that's not exactly what it is. And it's just, he's going to be a good squad player for us, with the extension that he got recently there, and hopefully that's all that he's going to be, and then we'll see what it looks like from there. And then brilliant third goal, some superb football in there, and then with 3-1 where Chermiti, with a 3-on-1, I should say, where Chermiti fluffed it. He could have had a hat trick on the weekend when he came on, Chermiti, couldn't he? And everything was just at the goalie. And the goalie was kind of brave, to do what he did a few times, putting himself in harm's way. Both goalies, actually, as it turns out, for Dundee United. But yeah, we squander some chances, and you'll see that when we get to the stats here. And then we get 3-2, where it's just lapses of concentration all over the pitch, which is frustrating in the moment. But for me, it's also a wee bit, what would I say? I'm not devastated by it, because it's something that you could just show a video to the player and say, what happened there? And if they've got any brains about them whatsoever, they're going to look and say, I stopped, I didn't pay attention, I didn't track my man, I didn't run hard enough, I didn't put the tackle in when I should have, I didn't, look at the second phase, like whatever it is, they're going to say. They're very, very obvious mistakes that we're making now. The problem is really that we're making them fairly often. And as I've said before, other teams are ruthless against us. They get one chance, they score it. They get two chances, they score it. And we need 8 to score 2, that sort of thing. So I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to pan itself out. But then we did get the final goal with Majovski, and it was good to see him getting the goal. A good finish as well. Actually passed it into the back of the net. So some good bits, some bad bits, some tense bits, some fun bits, and things like that. And I think we just need to take the result and enjoy it, and for what it was, which was a 2-goal victory at home. And it puts us in a better position in terms of goal difference, puts us in a better position in terms of points as well. And it was brilliant to see us at the top of the league for the first time in, as it turns out, just over 2 years. So I was asking over the last couple of podcasts as to how long it was going to be, or how long it was, as to when the last time we were actually bona fide at the top of the league. And it was great to see that. And as I'd said to folks on Saturday and a wee bit early on Sunday morning, both of those games for both of our rivals were not gimmies, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. But anyway, back to our game. The positives: the result, the 3 points, the 2 goals of the goal difference gains, and somebody, I think it was one of the commentators, maybe, or one of the reporters in the post-match press conference, had said that was 8 goals in the last 2 league games with 8 different goal scorers for Rangers as well. So goals all over the pitch. That's going to really, really bode well for us as we get these final 6 games underway. I thought the subs made a big difference and a positive. Big shout out to Gassama. He played really well when he came on. As soon as he came on and he was on the right hand side, I was thinking, oh my word, here we go again, man. Like, what is happening? Why is he trying to force this square peg into this round hole? But it was almost like he says, right, this is where your natural, or where your go-to position is going to be, but you're going to get a wee bit more creative freedom. And he was back in defence. He was actually in midfield sometimes. He was busting through the middle kind of somewhat as a number 10 and such like that, and he had a real big impact there as well. So that was really, really good to see him getting that, because we want him to do well. He's just having a bit of a time of it, hasn't really hit the heights there. And, and obviously that penalty that he hit the high flats with over at Ibrox there didn't do him any good in terms of his confidence, in terms of how the fans feel about him as well. In terms of our negatives, same old. Our defence, our full team defence for their goals, just nowhere near good enough. We're going to have to really, really, really stop that. It's very easy for me to sit here saying that in Calgary, of course, but we're going to have to do something to make sure that we are absolutely ruthless in attack and defence for the next 6 games to see how we can make people think, make people work, and do what we need to do to get this championship over the line. And more goals would have been cool, just to make goal difference. I mean, goal difference I don't think is going to be material, certainly as it stands right now, between us and that mob, but it's very close. It's a kind of 1-game swing almost for us with Hearts. So just more goals would be great. And I say that from a position of, I would have bitten your hand off for 4 goals at the beginning of the season when we weren't scoring, but when we score 4 and concede 2, that's only 2 then, obviously. So one of these things. In terms of the stats, we had 67% possession, 16 shots on goal, 10 on target, scoring 4 of them, just under 50%. Not too bad, and they had 9 shots on goal with 4 on target. Theirs was 50% because obviously got 2 goals. In terms of the ref watch, John Beaton, I think, basically back to what I was saying on my wee rant a couple of weeks ago there, the referees in Scotland are just not fit for purpose, especially when it comes to VAR. And if you're not fit for purpose when it comes to VAR, we need to get ones in that are fit for purpose when it comes to VAR. But this wasn't really a John Beaton VAR type situation that I'm getting frustrated with. It's conditioned within this guy to referee Rangers to a different standard. So a foul that would be committed by a Dundee United player on a Rangers player is not even worthy of a talking to, that we can see anyway. You might be casually saying stuff to people as they are going past them to say, that's 2, I'm watching you, or whatever it is, but doesn't look like it. And then to appease the fans, he could at least go up to that guy and give it the old, gestures and things like that and point away and say one more or whatever it is. But no, he doesn't do that. And there was plenty of times, there was a couple of times fair play to him. He let play go when we were fouled, very obviously in attacking situations. And then he doesn't go back and speak to the guy, doesn't go back and book the guy when they look like absolute bookings. Then, of course, Rangers players get bookings. It doesn't look like Dundee United players are going to get any bookings. And, of course, he did eventually. The second half, it wasn't quite as blatant, quite as prevalent or noticeable. But in the first half, he had an absolute stink bomb. He's just not fit for purpose. And this is going to be material for us, because what we're talking about is in-game, decisions that matter in-game, and then what it's also doing is these could be compounding, because our players are getting crunched. You know what I mean? Our players are getting absolutely battered, and that's going to potentially not bode well for us in terms of who's going to be available or not, who's going to be fully fit or not for the last 6 games of the season. So there's a bigger, wider picture here, and it's just not good enough. And I would hope that he would look back on that and say, I should have done that, I should have done that, I should have done that. It doesn't help us now, but it's just not getting any better. And if you learn from your mistakes and you prove that you've learned from your mistakes, that's a good thing. That's a very, very good human trait. When you don't, then that means that you either choose not to or you can't. And either or of them is not good from our perspective, from my perspective, in terms of the standards of refereeing that we've got. So he's getting a 2. Actually, I'll give him a 3. I'll give him a 3 because it wasn't material to the result. 3 out of 10 for that. But you guys have to get better. You're just honking at refereeing. Next game is, of course, away to Falkirk on Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's noon UK kickoff, 5 a.m. for us here in Calgary. I've got my season ender football team night out on Saturday. We're starting a wee bit early, and I'm going to finish hopefully a wee bit early, but it's going to be a rough morning. So we'll see how that goes. And then the following weekend is the Scottish Cup semi-final weekend, where it's been confirmed that we're going to go and do a warm weather training camp, maybe a bounce game in Spain somewhere. And then we have the last 5 games when it really cranks up. I kind of half expected to see the fixtures for the post-match split coming out right now, like today sort of thing, but I guess not, because it's the first time that I can remember that it didn't go to the last game before the split, to see who was that final team that was either dropping down or promoting themselves up. And, because it's already been sorted now, we know who the top 6 and bottom 6 are going to be, but I don't know when they'll come out. But it's going to be very, very intriguing to see. Or maybe there's a rule that they just do the announcement after the final game, which would be the 33rd game. But yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like. So we'll see what happens. In terms of shout-outs, first and foremost, I would like to do a shout out to my love, Erin, who, as we speak right now, is in hospital for the second time in 3 days, actually. She went on Friday and she had to go back in again on Saturday. Just got some challenges with her health for right now. Why am I not there with her, you might ask? I've been sick the last 3 or 4 days. You might hear it a wee bit nasally or such. I'm kind of trying to fight back not coughing in your ear or your eyes right now as well. So I don't want to go and visit her and compound anything that she's got going on. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, folks. So please don't worry. But I'm hopefully going to get an opportunity to go and swing by and see her a little bit later today, and hopefully she gets the surgery that she needs, and then we get on the recovery track again. And and then she gets to do what she needs to do as the month and the year progresses for her. But yeah, she just never really has her health troubles to seek, I'm afraid, my love. So I love you, and I hope you are feeling better and doing better, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Also on the medical front, the guy that allows us to use Pin Bar, a good friend and very good supporter of the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary, Arlen Smith, is going in for shoulder surgery today. An accumulation of a couple of shoulder injuries over well over 10 years now, I guess it is, and it's just a point now where he's going to have to get the surgery. He might even be in surgery right now. It's 11:39 a.m. as I'm recording. And then he's got about 6 weeks of recovery. He's been a massive, massive supporter, back to the Drum and Monkey days, and then to Local 510, and then to Palomino, and then over to Pin Bar. And I was actually talking to Leo last night when we were in the car, and I said, Leo's 18 a year in May, so next, May 2017. And I says, I can't wait to take you for your first official drink, and all being well, I'm going to take you to Pin Bar. And hopefully Arlen's going to be there, because Leo was a babe. Like, Leo was, I don't even know if he was a week old when I took him down to the Drum and Monkey to kind of show him off back in 2009. And now that we're at 18, Arlen will just be like, boof. Mind-blowing sort of thing, emoji style. So it's he's been a big supporter and a long-term pal as well, and very, very kind to us for everything that we want to do in the pubs that he has managed over the years. So all the very best, my friend. I don't even know if he listens, most likely not, but I'll send this to him because he does have some time on the sidelines where he's going to have to force himself to sit on his arse and do a whole bunch of nothing while the early stages of the recovery take place. So we'll see how that goes. But very, very best of luck, my friend, and look forward to seeing you very soon. I did see on the weekend there online that the ORSA organisation, our friends over at ORSA, have announced their 2027 convention, and that's going to be in Sydney, hosted by the Northern Beaches Rangers Supporters Club, and that's going to be February the 25th to the 28th, 2027. And I think if you just Google ORSA 2027, you'll get all the details. I don't know that I need to put in a link in the show notes for you, but that actually reminds me that Ange McLennan, long-term secretary of ORSA, is heading Calgary way around about, I think it's September time this year. So when she's in town, she's hopefully going to catch a couple of games when she's here, and it'll be a good opportunity to see her in our area. And the last time I seen her was, that'd be Vegas 2022, probably something like that. So it'll be great to see her, and looking forward to having her sample all the delights of Calgary and surrounding area as well. And this was a shout out that I was supposed to do, I think it was last week, and maybe even actually the week before, but the Tommy Brotherson from Niagara True Blues Rangers Supporters Club is kind of doing a wee bit of a purge on a lot of his Rangers memorabilia to make sure that it all goes to good homes, and he's donating a signed Maurice Edu shirt, a memorabilia shirt that right now is in a frame, but he would probably just take it out of the frame and get it to wherever it needs to get to. So what he'd asked is if there are any clubs out there that have an affiliation with Maurice Edu and or are named the Maurice Edu Loyal or something like that. Now, the caveat is you have to be a NARSA club. This is a NARSA podcast. I'm not going to give it to any clandestine club that's out there or any club that just decided to resign the rights away of being the members of NARSA. You don't deserve the shirt if that's the case. So it's a NARSA inclusive internal thing. If you have the space for it, if you have somewhere that there would really be a good home, and you have that affiliation with Maurice Edu, please get in touch with me at Rangers SCC. That's Rangers SCC, which I just said it twice for some reason. I meant to say 2 S's and 2 C's at hotmail.com. rangersscc@hotmail.com, and I'll put you in touch with Tommy, and you guys can make the arrangements from there. But very, very kind of Tommy to do that. Thank you very, very much for doing that. He's always keeping in touch and sharing some life stories with me over time, and it's good to hear what's happening. So for the final month, I am delighted to tell you that Amanda and Jason Jr. Ross are running the London Marathon, and that is coming up on the 26th. So I guess you'll hear me say that another twice. Is it? Another twice? And then maybe we'll get a wee post-race recap, assuming that it all goes well. Actually, I was going to say assuming it all goes well. Even if it doesn't go well, it would be nice to actually hear how it went there as well. In terms of the destination NARSA, or Nashville 2026, or if you're old school, the NARSA convention, you get to call it whatever you want, okay? Then I can absolutely confirm we are now in single digits of weeks, folks. That's 9 weeks to go and 65 days from now, just over 2 months to go until we get there, June 11th to 14th. And it is really, really shaping up now. Of course, it's World Cup opening weekend. We have a packed agenda for you. It's going to be a lot more casual. We've got a wee bit of some changes in the itinerary. I know I've been saying for a few weeks that I was hoping to publish what the one-pager itinerary is. We did have a 90-minute meeting, myself, Arlen and Brian last week, just to make sure that everything was all lining up. And we basically just have to format it now and get it out there. I was trying to do a wee bit of work on that last week and this week, and it's just been absolutely hectic with a whole bunch of different things. So we will definitely, and I'm guaranteeing it, this week, you will see the itinerary being posted on our socials and maybe on our website this week. And once we've got it all completely solidified and such. So getting closer. But just a reminder that this is a smaller convention and space is limited. And I do know of people literally in my circle that are saying, I'm definitely going. They haven't booked the tickets yet. It only holds 200 people. It cannot hold any more than 200 people, and we are closing in on that number. So you need to be able to get your tickets so that you can get into the events, because we're not going to be able to let you in if you don't have your tickets, of course. So we'll get that. We'll continue with that messaging over the next 9 weeks, and I'll tell you. And we are in discussions with the club that when we win the 56th, the SPFL Premiership Trophy, that they will get that over to the convention. They haven't confirmed it's absolutely going to be the case, but that's what we've asked for, and that's what we're going to keep asking for, and hopefully that's a thing that we get to have a proper conversation with them about sooner rather than later, and we'll see what that looks like. So just a reminder, 9 in a row legends: Derek Ferguson, Davy Robertson, Mark Walters and Scott Nisbet. Our entertainment is our MC is David Edgar. Our DJ for the entire event is DJ Angry Bear, and that's Colin Bowman from the Orlando Rangers Supporters Club, of course. Entertainment also provided by Stuart Hay from The Journey Back and David Mason, providing us with an educational moment, the story of Rangers, and really looking forward to that. And singing entertainment is going to be Rebecca Auchterlonie. Rebecca Auchterlonie. I'm going to keep saying that, and I'll probably fluff my lines at the very first time that I meet her, but then I'm not going to meet her and say, really nice to meet you, Rebecca Auchterlonie, am I? I'm probably just going to say Rebecca, so that might be okay in and of itself. And just a reminder, if you missed last week's pod, that we do have confirmation that from the club we have our Executive Director, Fraser Thornton, along to join us, as well as CEO Jim Gillespie as well. So packed in terms of VIPs for this year. Very, very lucky to have that there. Reminder that we do have the Davy Cooper Memorial Top Golf experience coming up, and we're starting to see a wee bit of activity on the ticket sales. Now, what I did say last week was that I need an accountability partner, someone to help me book my flights for Nashville. And immediately on Monday, now my sister Debbie, I don't typically know when she listens to the pod, but she must have listened on Monday, and she says, have you booked your flights yet? Have you booked your flights yet? Have you booked your flights yet? And she kept going for a couple of days, and then she got pissed off and fed up with me, and I'm delighted to say that my flights for Nashville are now booked. So thank you very much, Debbie, for all your help and support, and for being a wee bit annoying. I don't mind telling you that, but I did get my flights booked, and then when I booked the flights, I messaged her saying, do you have anything to ask me? And she's like, no, don't think so. So I have the flights booked, and I do have direct flights as well, which is great. I'm going to be arriving in on a Wednesday night, and I'm going to be leaving on the Sunday night. So on the Sunday night, here's what happens. We're going to have the leaving do on the Sunday. I'm going to have to leave the leaving do a wee bit early. I'll have a quivering lip and I'll have a petted lip for about 3 or 4 days because I left as the party was still going, but I'll be equally as delighted when I wake up in my own bed on Monday morning. That's the plan. So that's what I'm doing. So thank you again to Debbie for that. But back to the golf. If you have any questions on the golf, you can email narsagolf@gmail.com. But it's a top golf experience. No golfing experience is required. It's just a fun time, and within the $100 of the cost, it's your transportation there and back. It's your food and soft drinks when you're there. There is going to be a bar open as well, and it's just a bit of fun. You don't need golf clubs. You could bring your own golf clubs if you want, but they provide all the golf clubs, and there's going to be a pro on hand or a specialist on hand, whatever they're called, to be able to help you just kind of, target the things you're targeting and just have a laugh and some fun. So that's what I'm going to be booking this week. So I need some help from an accountability perspective to say, have you booked your David Cooper Memorial Top Golf Experience? And I will say, yes, I have, because I'm going to try and do that today if I can. In fact, I will do that today. I'll definitely get that done today. So yeah, that's the plan. And we still have to see how many of the VIPs are going to be doing the Top Golf too. So you could be top golfing alongside a 9-in-a-row legend, alongside someone from the club or our entertainment folks as well. And just a reminder, I think I mentioned this before, but we're not hosting the AGM at the event this year like we typically do, and we have this mad rush on a Saturday afternoon to get everything organised and do that. We're going to host it virtually for all of our membership the week before, the week preceding, the week directly before, which is going to be April. This is April, Gary, come on. It's going to be June the 6th. So what that means is, for any constitutional, this is not an election year, so any major business that would happen would be constitutional changes. Any constitutional changes that are going to be proposed to alter and hopefully enhance the constitution for NARSA has to be in today. I kind of wish I'd mentioned that before. It always creeps up on us, but it needs to be in within 2 months of 2 months in advance. I'm getting all my wording mixed up now because I can feel some coughs and sneezes coming on. I'm going to try and get through the rest as quickly as I can. But if you're listening today, no one has made any constitutional changes, proposals in the last 10 years apart from me and Brian Campbell. But now that we have a wee bit of a new regime there, we can maybe get some other stuff in there. But I'm very interested in this sort of thing. I certainly have something in mind for this year, but you need to get it in by today. So apologies if you've missed the deadline, but we did send a note out to the membership about that anyway, so it's not just the first announcement today or right now. In terms of communication, there was indeed a Gers guide a wee bit later coming out today, but it was out there with Inside Ibrox, obviously the victory against Dundee United. And then today, right now, actually, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek prior to the end of the game, but right now, the women's team are playing away to that mob in the league. And the league took a monumental twist over the last two games. If you pay any attention to the women's game, the midweek and Rangers midweek game, we won at home to Partick Thistle 1-0. Kind of obscure score to have against some of the other teams. Usually we have the 1-0s against Glasgow City, Hibs, maybe Hearts, that mob, that sort of thing. But the other teams, it's usually 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, whatever it looks like. But yeah, 1-0. And then Glasgow City got beat by Hearts midweek. And then they got beat by, I think it was Hibs? No, I think they got beat by Hibs, and then it doesn't matter. What happened was they suffered defeats from I think it was that mob, and then Hearts beat Glasgow City. The Glasgow City, as you remember, were a mile ahead, and they got beat twice. So now Rangers women's team are in with a chance. We're up to third, but only like a point today, or 2 points away, whatever it is. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek at the score, real time live. I'm going to have to look at my other screen here before the end. Actually, let me do it right now, since it's kind of exciting. The last I heard, it was 2-0 at half-time to Rangers, and Katie Wilkinson scored both goals. I seen the second goal, which was a free kick, and it was an absolute peach of a free kick. So right now, 5 minutes ago, it was in the 75th minute, and it's still 2-0 to Rangers. So that's a very, very significant victory there, because it gives us the opportunity to go to second with a win today, and then there's only 6 games to play. I mean, that's got a wee bit of a ring to it. And guess who's top of the league? Yeah, Hearts. So we could have one of these wacky ends to the season where we have something that's reciprocated or replicated between both the men's and the women's league there. So I'll give you one final one when I get to the end here, and then we'll see. It's just kind of fun, kind of exciting. There's never usually a game on when I am recording. Tomorrow there's a loan review, and then there's the career path segment that they're doing, and they are chronicling Emmanuel Fernandez. And here's the thing about Manny Fernandez. I had I had a lassie on the podcast, my business podcast, which I think I published it on the NARSA network as well. If I didn't and you want to see it, go to Gary Gillen Coaching and search for Ellen Ellard on my YouTube channel, and you'll see it. Brilliant interview. And she's a Peterborough fan. So we were chatting around about the times early season, and there was two major things that I remember from the conversation in terms of football, in terms of just bantering back and forward. One was that she says, "We can't believe you got Gassama for what was it we got him for, like $3.5 million?" And at the time he was ripping it up. Remember the first 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season, whatever it was, and we, like everyone in the lower leagues of England, were shocked that we managed to get him for what we did and for what we got for him. And then she also kind of, I would say, wasn't hugely optimistic that Manny Fernandez was going to work out. And I think we paid, say, for example, $3 million for him. It's difficult to tell these days. And she was kind of, I don't know. We were kind of delighted to get that for him. Let's just say that. And then look what's happened since then. And by the way, he only came into the team through necessity. Remember, we were decimated in our centre-back positions there. And then all of a sudden, he's just went from strength to strength to strength. He's now a full established Nigerian international and such, so that will be a very, very good segment to watch there. So I should really reach out to Ellen about that and say, hey, listen, this guy has actually turned out to be absolutely dynamite for us. And, our first choice defender. So when he's not playing there on the weekend, we're kind of like, is he okay? Is he just getting rested? And, how difficult can it be just to fly on a plane and things like that? But yeah, so that's a career path segment tomorrow. On Wednesday, here's a beauty. On Wednesday, there's a segment on RTV that chronicles the 40th anniversary of Graham Souness being unveiled as the Rangers manager. 40 years. I remember that day when he came in, and it was just the country was buzzing. Every part of the country was buzzing when that happened. So I'm going to have to make a note and make sure I pop him a quick message to congratulate him on his anniversary and thank him for everything he's done for Rangers since that particular day. There's also a Women's International preview happening as well, and on Thursday there's a segment with Laura Berry, who is going to be representing Scotland under 19s in the international break over the next wee while. So she's talking about that there. On Friday's the press conference for the Falkirk game. I think it's an under 17 game on Saturday, and then on Sunday, of course, it's Falkirk versus Rangers, early kick-off time for us. And in terms of other communication, one thing I wanted to mention there is, if you haven't seen it already, there is a kind of, they do, Tottenham Hotspur do like a loan review type thing. I guess all the clubs are probably doing it just to create more content that's going to be engaging for the supporters. And this one was on Mikey Moore. So they came up and did a wee bit of following him around and such like that. Very, very, very well spoken guy, very genuine guy, actually, for his younger years, and he speaks very, very highly of Rangers. He speaks about, he's had quite a career already. He's only 18 years old. And what it really made me start to think about, honestly, was the loan players that we've had that we've really taken to our hearts, and really said, oh, we should really try and get him back again, or it was brilliant when we had him, and things like that. And off the top of my head, without doing any analysis, I could only really remember 3. Vladimir Weiss, that we had, I think, from Man City at the time, then Vlaslav Cherny, of course, from Wolfsburg last year, and now Mikey Moore. I remember we had Amad Diallo, who's doing really well for Man United now, but he didn't have a great spell with us, so we didn't. When he left, we're like, right, cheerio, and that was it. But I'd like to challenge you. Let me know if there was any other loan player that you wish we had kept, that you wish we had that version of him for a number more years than the time that we actually had, because I can't honestly remember that many. I remember just being kind of generally disappointed over it. And do you know what? Maybe Ryan Kent, because that's the reason that we brought him back, now that I say that. But here's the other interesting thing. That's all forward players, isn't it? So I don't know, after this season, are we likely to say Giga? Probably. Magoma? Maybe. Not bad. I remember Cherny didn't have a great start with us, and then by the time he left, his goals and assists was incredible, and we could have probably got him for about 7 million. It seems like a no-brainer now to have done it, but fascinating. So there's these two camps for me. The ones where they're just inconsequential, they contributed, but we don't really have an affinity with them. And then the other ones where you're kind of like, oh, that was golden times. And we are experiencing some golden times with Mikey Moore right now, for sure. We are. Didn't have a massively great game on Saturday, but you know that he's going to be very impactful for us the running as well. So happy for that. And one wee quick thing actually in terms of communication. Did you see, if you haven't seen it already, it's still up there on the Rangers website. There was an Easter message from the chaplain, Reverend Mark Johnson, who's also the minister at Glasgow Cathedral. And it was just a happy Easter message that was posted on the Rangers website yesterday. And I'm not going to quote it or read it out or anything, but it was just very poignant. And he did a great job of weaving in the essence of Easter and how that intertwines with the football season and how we feel about things and how we want to continue to grow and nurture things as we're moving forward from here and such. But brilliant message, and I've never seen the club do that before. If they've done it before, I've missed it, or I just haven't paid too much attention. But it was kind of fascinating to see that as well. So if you haven't checked it out, I thought it was quite inspiring. Honestly, I did. I thought it was good. So we'll see. We'll see if there's any other things that they can come up with as surprises for other occasions as the year progresses. Just another reminder of Greg Mitchell from the Big Apple Bears website, rangerspubs.com. And it's a project he's put together where you can put in the city that you're going to, and it will tell you any Rangers affiliated pubs, any pubs that are in some way connected with Rangers, any official supporters clubs, any unofficial supporters clubs. Basically ways that you can go and be in the company of fellow-minded fans if you're travelling out and about in the world. Very, very good job he's done on that. Absolutely fantastic. A reminder, please do follow us on Instagram and TikTok, NARSA Comms. That is NARSA COMMS. And of course, our YouTube channel, which is NARSA, the YouTube channel. I guess that's what it's called. NARSA Comms, isn't it? I think it's NARSA Comms. Oh, okay. I think I'm going to go and take some cold and flu medication here, and hopefully I'll be recovered and fit and healthy for next time. And until next time, thank you very, very much, as always, for taking the time to tune in. I really, really do appreciate it. I love the engagement. I love the banter. We're getting into the business end here, folks, and I really, really hope that we do this together and we have some absolute diamond history to talk about over the next wee while. Until next week. This is a real season now, isn't it? It was 9 cup finals. It's only 6 now. I mean, 6 is still a lot when you consider who we have to play, where we have to play them. Can we win 6 on the bounce? Well, I don't know. Let's just see what that looks like. But one thing I do know is it couldn't be tighter if we tried the way that things are shaping up at the top of the table. Let me do one last refresh here and tell you it's 3-0 to Rangers. So that's an absolute guaranteed victory for the women's team. Now, that's an incredible result, actually. So that's in 93rd minute for right now. So back to second spot, very, very close, within touching distance at the top. It's going to be very, very interesting in both the men's and the women's league. Let's grow Rangers here. Let's do what we need to do to get this championship. Until next week, please do take care of yourself. Okay, and all the very best. Follow.